Los Angeles, with its dazzling lights and endless possibilities, was a place where many came in search of fame and fortune. However, reality often turned out to be more cruel than their dreams. On one of the central streets of the city, among the stream of people, the characteristic rhythm of the city could be heard: laughter, morning conversations, and car horns. It was at this time, at the beginning of his career, that our hero Keanu Reeves, a famous actor with a good reputation, went outside enjoying a sunny day. Reeves always loved talking to people. He was known not only as a Hollywood star, but also as a man who never lost touch with reality. He went into regular cafes, talked to waiters, and helped the homeless whenever possible. But today, it seems, everything did not go according to plan. A group of young men approached him right on the street. At first glance, it looked like an ordinary street group, but the look of some of them gave away something more. Their expressions were filled with despair, and this conflict that was brewing was imperceptibly reflected on their faces. The robbers who approached him looked aggressive, but in the eyes of one of them, Dan, a teenager with disheveled hair and patches on his clothes, you could see a spark of human intelligence. He was a dark horse among his buddies. The first thing the guy did was try to snatch Reeves's bag. At this point, many of the audience felt tense. They expected that panic would start now, that someone would scream, and others would make attempts to protect the hero. But Reeves instinctively raised his hands, not trying to resist. Instead, he calmly began to speak. He looked into Dan's eyes and, despite the threat, said in a fair way, "You know, we all have difficult times." His measured words, uttered with sincere feeling, surprised everyone around him. By the time the conflict broke out, people began to gather in a circle, and everyone was watching curiously. Instead of threatening or calling the police, Reeves continued to talk to them. He talked about how he himself was once on the edge, how everyone needs understanding and support. He explained how important hope is and how sometimes you should look for alternative ways to solve problems. It was something new for the crowd, which expected aggression and violence, and soon the atmosphere began to change. One of Dan's friends, noticing his friend's behavior, began to whisper, "What are you doing, Dan?" The other guys also began to realize the paradox of the situation. Dan gritted his teeth and slowly backed away, as if wondering if it was worth continuing this game. It was as if Keanu Reeves himself had given them a new understanding. It became not just a road from point A to point B, it became a road to self-awareness. Looking at the actor's action, some in the crowd began to feel how important kindness and understanding are. Even in the most terrible moments, they watched as Dan, gradually losing his aggression, began to realize the depth of his actions. At that moment, the police appeared. They looked at this picture with bewilderment. Instead of grabbing the robbers, they froze when they saw what was happening. Reeves, preparing for this, approached them and explained the situation. The police were shocked by the outcome of the events, and instead of arresting them, they agreed to talk. Together, they began to exchange opinions. One of the policemen, who was once young himself and had met some of the worst sides of life, started talking to Dan and his friends. He shared his experience, showing them how many of their choices are governed by circumstances. Meanwhile, the surrounding atmosphere was filled with light. Some of the passers-by began to join the conversation, sharing their stories of how they overcame the difficulties. One of the men told how he himself was in a group like the one in front of him, and how the great actor himself helped him when he lost everything. This chain of interaction resembled small pebbles rolling down a slope, creating an avalanche. Everyone spoke one after the other, emphasizing the importance of supporting and helping each other. It soon became apparent that everyone had a chance to fix things. These new friends were given the opportunity to create a new life. The story of Reeves and Dan quickly spread across social media and the news. People were shocked, and they were quite amazed that such an event could happen. Pictures of disorder have now turned into pictures of hope. Keanu Reeves has become a symbol of change, and Dan and his friends are living examples of what people need with just a little understanding. Several months have passed since that fateful meeting. Many of the robbers really changed their lives. Someone found a job, someone returned to school, and someone even started helping others who faced similar problems. Reeves, as the kind spirit of the city, continued to monitor their progress, providing support and encouragement. Sometimes he met his new friends and couldn't help but notice how they were growing as individuals. Every time he came to a meeting, he saw that the hope and desire to change were still strong. They gathered in a small cafe, sharing their thoughts and proudly talking about their new achievements. This event turned out to be not only some personal changes, but also a real movement. Soon, the streets of Los Angeles began to fill with people who were ready to help each other, to get out of the same difficulties as them. Reeves has become the epitome of the fact that change is possible. His story has inspired many, first at the local level and then at the city level. Looking at all this, Reeves understood that the main thing in life is the strength of the connection between people, the effort to support each other, and sincerity. His intention to share his experience and change public perception has led to amazing results. There were no robbers or victims left in this story, just new friends who continued to evolve. They became an example for others, showing that even the most difficult situations can turn into a new hope and a chance for change. Los Angeles, once steeped in dark stereotypes, was now becoming a place where people sought to change their fate and support each other. Every day, new stories became part of their shared experience. Every smile, every small achievement became the building blocks in creating a new, friendly community. Reeves realized that together they were capable of much more than individually. They were a solidary force capable of changing the world around them.